G'day and welcome to the Grow Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Australia. Matt's based in Torquay in Victoria, Australia, and today we're discussing the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So thanks for your time, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. It's great to have this time with you.
Yeah, it's good to finally catch up. It's been a few months in the making, but I'm looking forward to the chat. Now, we know each other through introduction from Troy Truen, the founder of Grow Small Business, a few months ago, after he had a bit of a chat with you. And here we are today, and I guess the topic being the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS for short, is certainly a process that we use in Grow Small Business, and certainly I use as a business coach. So tell the audience a bit about you, the topic, and your experience.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. My journey with Entrepreneurial Operating System, I think it started probably about 6 years ago when I was a CEO building a business that was growing rapidly. We had about 80 people. We'd grown to that size over a really small period, about 3 years. And I was burnt out. I was really unhealthy. I was able to exit the business at the right time. And I was just searching around that time about ways of actually helping other entrepreneurs. So I had a few ideas. I had something that I'd been working on. And it was through that search to figure out how do I really want to make a contribution to the world? What is it that I can do, I can share from my knowledge and experience that can really help other entrepreneurs and help other business owners build great businesses, but also avoid the pain that I went through. And I came across Gino's book, Traction. I read it, I fell in love, and I looked back and what my journey was like, and I realized that it didn't have to be that hard. I didn't have to go through all the pain that I went through, in building that business. So I spent a bit of time just sort of getting to know EOS. I was doing some consulting. I had a business at the time, and I killed that business because it wasn't right to launch. Through the subsequent year, just really immersing myself and testing out EOS with a few clients that I'd been consulting to. It really just proved to me how effective it was. And so just in summary, the Entrepreneurial Operating System is a complete set of simple tools and practical disciplines that help people get what they want from their businesses. It's been used, I think, with over 500,000 businesses around the world.
Wow.
I'm an EOS implementer, so there are about 500 people like me who work as a coach to help entrepreneurial leadership teams implement EOS. And I think between us, the 500, we've done about 150,000 full-day sessions with the leadership teams of about 20,000 companies. That's one-on-one with the coach. But for the 20,000 companies, as I said, there's about 500,000 other businesses in the world that are actually using EOS. So that's the journey has been quite amazing. So I've really come to love just the real-world impact I've seen from helping businesses from about 10 to about 200 people, 250 people, become great businesses, build a high-performing team, and just really see people's lives transform from going from stress and overwhelm and not happy with their lives, not happy with their businesses, to a point where this is all working, this is great. I can actually take time off. I can spend more time with my family. The business is under control. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, and every small business owner would like the sound of that. I suppose more time for themselves and their family and their passions. So some good outcomes that can be driven from the EOS system. So maybe if you could maybe with respect to the system, could you just sort of talk a little bit about the components and why they're so important for a business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, in essence, what we're trying to create in a business, we've had these three things that we're trying to create. We call it vision, traction, and healthy. So, vision is from the standpoint of getting every single person in the leadership team 100% on the same page with where the business is going and how it's going to get there. Traction is about instilling discipline and accountability across the leadership team, so people consistently execute to that vision day in and day out. Healthy is about creating a functional, cohesive, fun-loving group of people at the leadership team level that really, really enjoy spending time together. And unfortunately, a lot of leadership teams aren't that way. And so what we do is we work with the leadership team, we help them with these areas, and then ultimately they learn and master what we call these tools and disciplines that they take to their organization, and that helps them build a really great business throughout their organization, such that every single person in the business, can see the vision. Every single person is clear on their role in contributing to that vision, and coming in and executing every single day with really high levels of discipline and accountability, and to create this highly engaging culture where people love to contribute the best of themselves. So the way we do that is we teach leaders tools, and they apply these tools on themselves as a team, and they then apply these in their organization. And then we measure their performance and their effectiveness in these areas. We call these 6 key areas. So just in summary, in a short sort of summary, so we talk about vision. So that's about getting everybody on the same page, everybody in the organization seeing that same vision, and then all energy rowing in that same direction. That's how we measure vision. And people is about strengthening. You can't achieve a great vision without great people. So we say, you've got to have the right people that share your core values, in the right seats. So we measure that with a specific tool, and how do we drive accountability at the leadership team level, and then at every level of the organization. You got to have good data. So it's not just about having spreadsheets and, getting lots of information from all your different channels or everything that you're working on. It's about how do you use that data effectively to drive decision-making. And so we talk then about, what does the leadership team scorecard look like? And then how do you cascade those, that fundamental objective management approach right down to every level of the business. And so you find once you strengthen the vision, the people and the data components, is you actually start to see things in the business you haven't seen before. You see these little challenges, all these little obstacles, all these little risks. They just start jumping out. And that's good because previously they were your headaches. They were the nightmares. They were the little fires, spot fires. They were the things that sort of kept you up in the middle of the night. And those things are actually just symptoms of a true root cause. So what we want to do is we want to get really good at seeing those things, because you can't become your best unless you're solving those issues as they arise. So we want to get really good at understanding those. So we call that next component is the issues component. So we get really good at understanding them and then solving them, making them go away. And that's part of a high-performing team, is how you work together to solve those. The fourth key component is process. So understanding all the stuff that goes on in the business and getting it done the right way and the best way every single time. It's what makes the business scalable. Right, that's what takes things away from the founder or the owner, and they're the central point of everything, and everything has to go through them. Is that they can abstract themselves by having good processes, and they then hire people to run those processes. And so we want to document and simplify the core processes, and then get those processes followed by everyone in the organization. And the sixth key component is what we call the traction component. So this is it's about, Jenna says it really eloquently, and I think you got the quote from Thomas Edison. It's, vision without traction is hallucination. So often, there's so many great leaders have so many great ideas about what they want to create and this product, and that's the creative energy that creates the world that we live in at the moment. But Michael, how many great ideas have you come across in your life, right? Yet, how many great businesses? It's how many percent? I don't know. I'm sure there's someone else's that could tell you. But it's the ability to take that vision and actually translate it into structured, discipline, execution. And so that's what the traction component about. That's what holds this whole thing together. And so we get really good at breaking the vision down into discrete parts. We call these quarterly rocks, getting the teams highly focused on delivering those rocks, be very clear on what success looks like. And then on a weekly basis, we teach them these high-performing meetings. So how do they use their time effectively to drive structure and accountability and discipline about the business and within their team. So that's just a bit of a fire hose of what we call the 6 key components. So it's vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. And we measure progress on a scientific but subjective scale, about 0 to 100% strong. But 80% strong was the goal. So
yeah, that quote's a good one, and so very true. I've seen so many business owners just go down rabbit holes and the bright shiny object syndrome, right? So I guess that's obviously, as you say, where the vision's important, and be focused on the vision as a team and as a business.
Yeah.
And be true to that vision with everything you do. But obviously can be some hurdles, and you've got to be adaptable these days, but certainly with a core focus, you can save a lot of time and money and energy, right?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. It's being very clear on what your focus is, like what your swim lane is. And that's, I think, a term that comes from EOS, that core focus. And being prepared to adapt the vision as need be, right? So we're very conscious about setting a long-term goal. So it's like a 10-year goal. Because frankly, no one knows what the world's going to look like in 10 years. Like if you say, you got no idea. No one knows what it's going to look like next year, right? Like exactly. In a recession, aren't we going to a recession? Like wage growth, what's going to happen? Prices, who knows, right? Who knows? But that shouldn't stop you from actually setting a really big long-range goal. And so it's actually quite powerful by setting that goal. And I've seen this with teams, that you set the goal and it's like a big, lofty idea. Not out of the park, but just a bit of a stretch. Like, we don't know, it's scary. Jim Collins called it the big, hairy, audacious goal. And then we just get there 1 year at a time. And it's amazing. Like this intuition, this intelligence that exists within teams is greater than the individual intelligence of each person, and they find a way. And it's quite miraculous, and they navigate and change. And 1 year they might hit a recession, or another year they might get hit with a big tax bill they weren't expecting, or maybe a key employee leaves, and this is all just part and path of the journey, right? Like. And so you got to adapt as you go, but always keep that North Star in mind.
Be the change you want to see in your business. Become more productive and less stressed with our free Transform Your Performance online course. Once you see the benefits, put your entire team through the course at no cost. We start out by telling you the secret to guaranteed success. Then over 100 lessons help you be more focused, present, productive, and feel more in control about work. growasmallbusiness.com.
Yeah, no, it's very powerful using that approach with the business I coach. And as you say, it is a North Star. It might be big and hairy, as Jim Collins said, but certainly gives a focus. And then I guess, as you say, wind it back to quarterly goals and objectives. And I guess, as Jim Collins said, it's a 20-mile march. So it's sort of slow and steady towards that DHAG, right?
Yeah.
The data component always interests me as a former accountant, I call myself. But,
Performing accountant.
So I guess with that sort of background, I understand data is important. A lot of businesses don't give it the focus it should be, and it's the old saying, you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So have you sort of got any tips for our listeners around the use of data?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So I think there's some basic financial disciplines you just have to have in business, right? So you have to have a P&L and you have to have cash flow management, right? So if you don't have a P&L, you can't look back and assess how your business did on a monthly basis, you're flying blind. And I think it's just good cash flow management, just being able to see how you can manage those ins and outs. So let's assume you've got that, right? The problem with the P&L, it's lagging. So it's what happened 45 days ago. So, all the stuff that rushes through the business, you get those results like, we want leading indicators. We want information that's going to help you predict what the financial result will be. And so, what's a leading indicator? So in sales, a leading indicator, a lag indicator is revenue, right? A leading indicator is the number of proposals you submit, or the number of outbound calls that you make, or even the number of new contacts you added to your prospect list. So that's a leading indicator, because I can guarantee if you put 0 on there, what's revenue going to be? Like in the future, probably 0, right? Exactly. If you put 100 in there, and if you put 100 there every single month, that you're going to hit your target. So we focus a lot on leading indicators, and we do it for the purpose of creating awareness about the types of activity that deliver value. And then when we know what that activity is, we create, and we measure it and we create accountability around it. That's what drives results. And that's, I'm sure there's 100 sporting analogies that I could dive into at the moment, and I'm resisting the urge. But so with the data component, so there's the data, and then there's the team. And so we're very clear around, okay, who's accountable for what in the team? Who's accountable for revenue? For operations, who's actually accountable for the quality of the product? And then, if you've got a large people organisation, who's accountable for absenteeism and employee engagement? Is it the operations guy, or is it your HR person? And so we're very clear on setting who's accountable for what. And then when we know who's accountable for what, we need to measure. People want to measure their performance. High performers like to have the information so that they can, deliver a better result, right? So then we work together as a leadership team to build the scorecard. What are those leading indicators? That this is the test. We say, okay, just imagine this, guys. Imagine you're on holidays. You're in Bali or the Maldives, wherever it is, and you're sitting by the pool, and you've been on holidays for a week, and it's a Thursday, and you haven't had no Wi-Fi access. You've got no idea what's going on in the company. Imagine that. Imagine how many business owners could do that. But let's just humor ourselves, right? Like, there's been no Wi-Fi. It's a Thursday. You're just starting to unwind. You're like, oh, and you can. There's like this little glimpse of paper that can be delivered to you. Someone from the team can give you a bit of paper. They can fax it through to you somehow, and you can look at that bit of paper, and it's got a series of numbers, and you can look at the numbers for the past week, and you can look at those numbers to see what's on track and what's off track. And after looking at that bit of paper, you can make one or two decisions. You can either go, this is actually good. I reckon I can probably stay off Wi-Fi. I'm not going to check my email until I get home. Or you're going to go, oh no, what? I need to be on the next flight home. And so that's what we're trying to build with the scorecard. It's giving you a pulse on what's going on in the business. It's not a weekly scorecard. So what are those measurables that exist within your leaders that they're accountable for, that they're delivering, that you can just look at? Yep, sales is doing what they should have done. Yep, operations. Yep, they've got the result. Finance and HR. Yeah, it's all humming along. So that's what a scorecard, and that's what the data component is focused on delivering. And ultimately, we want to get to a point where everyone in the business has a number. Every single person has at least one number that they're accountable for keeping on track on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it's some good insights and tips there. So I guess as far as working with business owners and their leaders, what are the outcomes so you're looking to achieve for them when you're working with them?
It's a good question. It's a multi-horizontal journey, and a lot of people that we work with typically come because they're frustrated and unhappy. They don't like their business. They think, should we sell it? I'm stuck. I can't sell it. There's people, and so they typically start with this sense of like, just things aren't right. I'm not frustrated. No, it could be better. And so the outcomes that we deliver in the short term is making them feel good about their business again, and making them feel like, yeah, this is why I started this. This is what I'm in love with. Often there's a financial component like that, right? Like, I'd love to say, business grows by 30%. Some businesses get amazing revenue growth. Some people, are able to get awesome exit multiples, or some people are able to get, amazing profitability. And some people are just able to get a weekend off, right? All that other stuff is nice, but if you could ever imagine a holiday, some people go on a holiday, right? Like, everyone's got their own what matters to them. So
Yep.
on a horizontal basis, and the first horizon is just getting people really feeling really comfortable with their business, feeling really happy. And from that point, we talk about this is an idea that Gino, who created EOS, came up with, called the EOS life. We call it, it's doing what you love with people that you love, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately, with time for other passions. And this is something that it's, so when I work with leaders once a year, we do an annual process, and I ask them to answer these questions. How are you going in these? Will you rate yourself 1 to 10? And even after the business is under control, it's running well, it's delivering money, some people say, I'm doing what I love. I don't love this. I don't really like this anymore. Or, I don't have any time for other passions. Like I'm spending like, 6 days a week on this. Well, they don't feel like they're making a difference with what their work. And so really implementing EOS is giving them the ability to, have those elements in their life all in harmony. But it takes time, right? And that's why it's called multi-horizontal. You're not going to get that after a week or a month, right? We say, get a grip of the business, right? Get that bad boy under control. Get it running well. When it's running well, guess what's going to happen? It's going to grow. And then you're going to hit the ceiling. And it's going to get a little bit difficult. And okay, so once you hit that ceiling again, figure out how to continually get this thing under grip. So it's always running well. It's always, you're not constantly fighting fires at each sort of stage of growth. And then when you've got in that rhythm of building a business that can grow, that's, not 100% dependent on you, then you can actually take your hands off the wheel a bit. Like, so why did I create this business? Is it helping me? Is it helping my family? Is it helping the world? And look, the business is just going to be this vehicle. It's going to be great. And you know what? I want to go out and coach footy teams. Or, I want to go and, like go holiday. There's one of my clients now, he goes to the US for 3 months a year now with his family. It's like, great. that's his passion. He loves the US. He loves spending time, in the West Coast, and he goes over there and spends maybe a day of the week in the business, sometimes maybe a day a fortnight. And that's his, that's his other passion. That's his living his ideal life. So that's where I think if you can just synthesize in what EOS helps deliver, is helping entrepreneurs live their ideal lives.
Yeah, I love it. And what would you find typically gets in their way, if you're going to sort of sum it up with 1 or 2 aspects?
Of implementing EOS, or gets in their way of?
Well, living their best life, I guess, and even, engaging with you, me, or anyone else to help them.
Yeah, people who don't want to change.
Yep.
That's the single greatest thing. Like you have to want to change. Some people, are miserable and they're not prepared to change. And guess what? They're probably going to keep being miserable unless they change their mindset. And that's a form of change anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's our saying that you keep doing what you're doing, you get the same results. So, and that's what I find. It's that for whatever reason, they don't want to change, either scared, but you don't have to be scared. There's people like yourself and ourselves that can help the journey, right? So, I could talk all day.
Yeah, this is good
on this sort of stuff, but which we don't have all day. But I guess to wind up, what's at least one thing you'd recommend a small business owner does based on this conversation?
Yeah, biggest single best thing is to get a copy of the book Rocket Fuel or Traction, one of those two. If you're a business with about 10 or more people, get Traction and just get it now. Like, don't do anything else. Order that book on Amazon now and get it and read it, right? And I think it'll change your life. If you're a business with, say, 5 or fewer people, get Rocket Fuel. I'd say get that now, because that'll also change your perspective. And there's a bit of overlap between the two of them. And then after you've read Rocket Fuel, then get Traction.
Yeah. No, it's a good tip. And as we spoke about, our business transformation program actually refers to the EOS system. So we love it. We know it works. So, and it's great to talk to you and talk about your success stories offline and what you're doing to change people's lives, which is all makes it worthwhile for us, doesn't it?
Very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling.
So thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Matt. I'll talk again soon.
No, thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. It's you help a lot of great businesses and a lot of people. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, mate.
We're getting some great iTunes reviews. For those listening, please pop over to your podcast app and leave us a review.